I'm ambitious.
I will not hide it.
We will not hide it.
We embrace ambition.
Women are made to be ambitious.
I will dream big.
Big, without hesitation.
We will take risks.
Not live in fear.
We will rise together.
Rise above the negativity.
No longer will ambition in a woman
Be seen as a negative. Be persistent.
Don't apologize.
Never give up on your goals and dreams.
We will model ambition
For our daughters.
And our sons.
I will help women around the world,
The whole world.
to succeed.
You have to persevere.
Women are tough.
Strong.
Powerful. We have got to be a part of this conversation.
Ambition is feminine.
Ambition is empowering.
Ambition is not a dirty word.
I can think of a lot of dirty words. Ambition's not one of them.
Ambition is sexy.
Ambition is very sexy.
What's your ambition?
To help women build empires.
help more women run for office.
Empower women financially.
Help women entrepreneurs.
Create powerful images.
Change people's lives.
Fight gender stereotypes.
Equality for all.
For all of us to lean in together.
To transform societies.
Change the world.
Take the stigma out of the word ambition.
Own your power.
Own your power.
Own your drive.
Own your dreams.
Own your dreams.
No judgments.
No judgments.
We own it.
Take the pledge.
Take the pledge.
Take the pledge.
Embrace ambition.
Embrace ambition.
Will you?
Hi, Tory.
Harry,
This is so much fun to be here.
So fun.
Congratulations on the campaign.
Thank you. I would love to just say we just threw it together.
Yeah, right, exactly. A little this. How great was that campaign? How great was the PSA? So, Tory, tell everybody about why embrace ambition. There's so many things out there, so many causes. What was it about ambition that made you think that we needed to do this campaign?
You know, it's funny. So our company, when it first started 13 years ago, there was an article written on me and the company in the New York Times. And a mutual friend of ours, Jane Rosenthal, saw the article and said, I liked the article. And I was like, but? And she said, you shied away from the word ambition. And she was absolutely right. And I realized that I was buying into a very harmful stereotype. And I think when men are ambitious, it's celebrated. When women are ambitious, it's somewhat crass.
You know, it's so true. How often do you find yourself saying as a woman, I know you've thought of this, but, or I'm so sorry, but.
A
right?
lot
We
of
gotta
apologizing.
stop. Yeah,
a
exactly.
lot of apologizing. And, you know, if you're successful, we have to learn to embrace it. Not be arrogant, but also be our best advocates.
Well, now I find since yesterday that whenever I'm thinking to say, oh, I'm sorry, that I say, no, I'm embracing my ambition. So it's all, it's all good. But Tory, let's back up, because I think that so many people think of Tory Burch as this incredible designer making all of these beautiful clothes. And in fact, there is an amazing foundation behind Tory Burch, the Tory Burch Foundation. Explain to everybody what you do.
Well, thank you. I think, well, when I started the company, it was part of the business plan from day one, knowing that we would have to have a successful company before we could do it. But it was always part of the conversation. And I knew it would be about women and children. I wasn't exactly sure what it would be. And in 2009, we launched our foundation. And we wanted to wait until we really spoke about it until we had impact and scale. And I think now I can finally say we have impact and scale, and having a great president like Lori Fabiano, who's here, and the team, what they have done in 2 years with our partnership with Bank of America. We've given out over $25 million in low-cost loans to women entrepreneurs in the United States. We're averaging $1 million a month, which is super exciting. We have a mini business school with Goldman Sachs where people go. It's maybe a 3-month program. Babson wrote the curriculum, and they're getting education.
Let's hear it for Babson.
And then we have our fellowship program where hundreds of entrepreneurs apply. We're on our second round. We narrow it down to 10, and they get a $10,000 grant towards their education for their business, and then the winner gets $100,000 towards their business. And this is something big. We want to be the go-to source for women entrepreneurs, and we want to create the community where women help themselves and men. We need to bring men along in part of the conversation.
You know, it's really extraordinary. And I must say, I've had the opportunity and really the privilege to be at a couple of the foundation events and to meet some of the entrepreneurs. It's extraordinary. It really is. You know which one I love? This is the woman who makes the incredible chocolate shoes.
Well, there's so many. I mean, there's just, it's incredible. We have, the women are inspiring. They often have 2 jobs. They're often single mothers. They're repaying their loans. They're giving back to their communities. Women are a great investment. And I think equal rights should be a given. It's not a favor. Women should have equal rights. It's half the population, and we should stop talking about it otherwise.
On that note, did I wish you a happy Women's Day?
Happy Women's Day to you.
Happy Women's Day, everybody. Tory, tell people, because obviously it's a campaign that has just been launched, but it's also about actually embracing ambition. How do we do it? What do we all need to know when it comes to those two words?
Well, I think we have to acknowledge that it is a harmful stereotype. And we also have to acknowledge when we buy into it. And I think I wasn't aware that I was buying into it at the time until someone pointed it out. And I think that if we have men part of this conversation, which is essential, and that's why men are in the PSA, you know, when you think about feminism, I think sometimes it's used in the wrong way. Feminism is about equality. It's not about disliking men. I mean, that to me is the opposite of what the message we need to get across. So if you embrace ambition, we have a way you can do it, but it's also believing it yourself and then starting the conversation. You can go on to our website, it's torybirchfoundation.org, and then you can upload a picture of yourself and then put different words that you feel like visionary or ambitious. But really, it's a mindset, and I think it's a mindset that we have to change. And I am hopeful about a younger generation, my boys' generation, because they told me, they're like, wow, you know, I don't really see it that way, and I'm hoping that this is changing, but we have to be advocates for that change.
You know, not only are there men in the PSA, in the video, but there are also these three adorable young men,
Yes.
your boys. And I think that it's symbolic, Tory, of more than just having your boys in there. It's about the next generation of men, of young men.
Well, I think it's essential, and it makes perfect sense. It's good for our economy. If nothing else, we have to break that stereotype. That old boys club mentality has to go. It has to be a partnership. It has to be inclusive, and we have to bring the country together. This is not a partisan issue, and we were really trying not to make it a partisan issue. We have to, when I talk to fathers about their daughters, they want equality for their daughters, whether they're Republican or Democrats. And that's something that we need to make sure happens.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, because unfortunately the numbers aren't great out there in business land, in business world, a world that you are in. When it comes to CEOs, when it comes to women in business, the parity just isn't there. Tell us a little bit about the landscape.
Well, I think it's important to note that embracing ambition also doesn't necessarily meaning to have a career. You can be a stay-at-home mom and embrace ambition. For me, though, it's about equality, and it should be about the quality of work, not the gender. And if someone is in a job, that whether it's a man or woman, and they're doing the same caliber of work, they should be paid exactly the same thing, not 70 cents on the dollar.
No doubt about it. And you know, I learned something from Tory also, that when it comes to even Congress, women make up just 17%. And it matters, right? Ultimately, it matters on that having lawmakers that are in equal numbers to women and men in the population.
Well, I think it's important, as to go back to your question, to have women in the boardrooms as CEOs. They have a very unique point of view, a different point of view. And I think when you're looking at our company, we might be going the other way as 80% women. But I do feel that it's very important to have both perspectives if you're going to achieve what we all know we need to do.
So Tory, talk to us a little bit about your inspiration. Who have been your great women mentors?
Well, I have to say my mother and father. I grew up with 3 boys on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and I never knew that there would be gender stereotypes, and I never knew that I couldn't do what my 3 brothers did with hard work and determination. My parents really taught us that we could do anything. And then you go and you graduate and you go into the workforce and you start to hear little things and feel other different things, and then you experience first things that aren't quite right and you're not quite sure, but then it's very clear and there is something that needs to change. So if we can be role models and setting that up to give women confidence to really be advocates for themselves, I think that's a big part of it. It's hard for women to ask for a raise, and that to me shouldn't be the case. And it's hard for me to ask for a raise, so I know that it exists. If it's hard for me and it's hard for many of my friends and the people I work with, it's a difficult conversation. Men don't have that issue. They're very good advocates for themselves.
It is so true. I remember always thinking, well, if they wanted to give me a raise, they'd give me a raise. And that is the most
work will speak for itself.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think also as women, we have to remind our friends and our coworkers that they've got to embrace ambition, right? And they've got to ask for these things. This is not a favor.
Well, it's not a favor, and I think there's also a way that we can do it, and it doesn't have to be in an angry way. You know, I loved the Women's March. I thought it was inspiring and brilliant, and I was so sad to be away. I wish that some of the speeches were a little bit, I think it's bigger than partisan. It's bigger than talking about the government right now. To me, it's half the population. Look at what happened around the world. It was inspiring. Nothing like that
Isn't it
has
incredible?
ever happened in history. So how do we harness that? And how do we calmly and in an elegant way get our point across and get it done? And that's sort of, we want to get things done. We don't have to be angry in the process because this is, in my opinion, what needs to be done and it's what is right to be done.
Was there something about this time right now here, 2017, that made you think that this was the right campaign for this moment?
Well, I mean, I would
asking.
say it's hard to even comment on that. We've been working on this for maybe 6 or 7 months, so we had no idea what the outcome of the campaign would be. Certainly, I'm so proud of where our foundation work has gone in the last couple of years. We're ready to speak about it. We want to get the word out because we want to help women, and now we can. But I think it's more important now than ever. I think that words matter, and we need to make sure that people are accountable for their words, and words have to have meaning. And we all need to be able to stand up for ourselves.
Let's talk about women entrepreneurship for a moment, something that obviously you care deeply about. Your whole foundation is centered around it. What is the best advice, Tory, that you like to give? I was about to say young women, but really women of any age.
Yeah, it really is all ages. I mean, the only common thread of our foundation is that it's women, and it's all kinds of business, and that's what's exciting. When I first started the business, my parents told me to thicken my skin. Negativity is noise. These are sound bites, but they are very helpful. And have conviction and know you have to come up with an idea that has some legs, that answers a problem. If you believe in your idea, you have to believe in yourself, because if you're not going to believe in yourself, others won't either. But you have to be prepared to work hard too.
Yeah, that's really hard. Tory, I'm curious, talk to us about the workplace setting, because I know, knowing people who work at Tory Burch, at the foundation, that there is this incredible environment in which people are encouraged to embrace their ambition. What is it that people can do at the top to help encourage an environment that really allows women to flourish?
Well, I think women and men, I think, you know, when I speak to our operating team and talk about culture, I say, you know, culture, we all have to live and breathe it and believe in it. I can talk about culture until the end of time. It doesn't matter if everyone isn't living it. And culture is very important in an office place. We have to believe it, but each person has to believe it. And then you have the trickle-down effect. It can't just be one person preaching at the top. You have to hire people who want to create an environment that is a great place to work. It is hard. Business is hard. When the macro environment is tough, it gets harder. And you have to have grace under pressure. I think that's something I strive for all the time. It's not always easy. But if you create the work environment you want to, if you have a team that really believes and lives that, you constantly work on your culture, then you get the best work. And that's sort of a win for everyone.
You are grace under pressure,
well,
truly. You are. Tory, it's incredible for me just to even be sitting here with you and recalling 10 plus years ago?
Yeah.
How long ago was it?
So the company's now 13 years.
Okay.
As of just
really?
February. Yep.
It's amazing. Is it still incredible for you to look and see what has been created, what you've done, what the company has done?
Well, let's start by saying I would never have been able to do it without an extraordinary team. And so, yes, I can't get over it. If you had asked me 15 years ago what I would be doing today, I would have said I have no idea. So to me, that shows that anything is possible for anyone. And I was a stay-at-home mom for 4 years before I started the company, and I spent a lot of work researching and thinking and talking about starting companies, and then all of a sudden I got sick of talking about it because none of them came to fruition. So I just decided to put my head down and work on this. And we launched a store, we opened a store on Elizabeth Street downtown on a block that had no other stores. The rent was really inexpensive, and it just seemed we hit a white space in the market. I think that I would have no idea, but it's been this incredible journey that I would love to take this journey and do even more than we ever set out to do to help people. That's something that would be inspiring.
All right, so let's talk about that because we are talking about ambition today. What is your ambition for your company?
So, well, I mean, I think what's is clear is that we have a platform. We have 3,000 people that can also be mentors, and I'm not sure all of them will, but they certainly do. They're inspired by it. I think if we could be a role model as a company to say, let's think about philanthropy or social responsibility from day one, and not wait until the company's 30 years into success, and really be role models to do good sooner, to incorporate the social responsibility which helps the bottom line. I think that's what we need to get across, that our foundation, which I didn't know, really helps our business. Our customers love it, the people who work in our office love it, and it also attracts people to want to work there. So it is a win-win, and if we can get companies to think that way, that would be a wonderful ambition.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it, and it's interesting to watch the interplay between the foundation and the company. What's next for the foundation? You're launching this amazing campaign. Where do you see this going, and what do you hope for the foundation?
Well, I think this is just the beginning, and this foundation, this PSA is going to last for the next 5 months, let's say, but really it's the beginning of the conversation and the hard work. I would love to create with our teams this peer-to-peer mentoring concept to really create the community, to get all of the entrepreneurs that we help to start helping each other. Many of the businesses face a lot of the same issues regardless of the business. So there's so much valuable information that people can help each other with just by the nature of having a startup, and whether it's actually getting a loan or you need a lawyer or press or social media, everyone can really jump in and help each other. So I think our website is a good start to that, but now we want to create the communities.
You know, you mentioned that your parents said to you when you were starting the company that you needed to thicken up your skin, and I think it gets back to this concept of embracing ambition. I think we all, or many of us, have to have thicker skin. But it's not easy to do, and it certainly sets back many entrepreneurs. Women, I would imagine, more so than men. What do you say to people? How did you help yourself to do that?
I don't know. I think ignorance is bliss. Probably don't read anything. And my mom always used to say, my mom was an actress, and she said, never read my reviews. And I think that's probably good advice because, you know, there are naysayers. There are going to be naysayers. There's going to be people who aren't trying to help. But I will say my experience is women do like to help other women. We really relish in other people's success, and I want to really promote that feeling.
It is so, so true, and there's nothing better, such a wonderful feeling to be able to help somebody and to encourage them along their path, because it can be so challenging.
Well, it's challenging all around. I think everyone could agree. It's a challenging time, and then you put business on top of it, or being a mom, or whatever it may be.
Or all of the above.
All of the above, it's just tough. And so how do you compartmentalize? I think that's another good piece of advice, is take one step at a time. My parents would always say to me, okay, as bad as it gets, you can wake up tomorrow, it's a whole new day. And I think that's also a good way of looking at things.
Yeah, no question about it. How about some questions from the audience? What do you think? We've got a question right here in the front
Hi,
row.
Tory. It's nice to see you. I wanted to know, I've done photography work for quite a few friends who have clothing lines coming out, and I wanted to know, how did you get people to see and believe in your vision, and what tips could you give to somebody that's trying to build a successful clothing line? And also, who is it that inspires you as a designer, or even in the business world?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people, and I think I think one thing that's really important is that you have to have an identity, and you have to never, be inspired by other people, but never be referential. And I think to create your own DNA is so important, whether you're a photographer or whether you're a designer, and you have your own style. And then people will start to notice that, and I think that's what makes you stick out and stand apart. And I would say that pretty much across the board. There's been so many people that I've admired, whether it's reading books on YSL and how his struggles and how he became a designer, but then there's women too. I think I think each person that has something to offer, and there's so many shows today, I think one good piece of advice is less is more, and that's something I'm really feeling right now. There's just so much stuff. I would prefer to have less stuff with more integrity, and I think that even in your work as a photographer, that's so important, to really be a great editor and just show your best work, and also the people you work with, show theirs.
I think that's such a good point, because I think so often we think that more is better, right? If you just throw a lot of things up against the wall, something's going to stick. And I think that's such a
But don't you
important
think with
point.
Instagram and all the access to so much information, I think at some point there's going to be a backlash, and it's just almost too much. So you have to start to be good editors. That's what I'm working on.
We have another question right here. Hi.
Hi, Tory.
How are you?
Great. Congratulations on the launch of Embrace Ambition. I'm looking forward to seeing how it progresses. I had the opportunity to attend the Future of Fashion Talk, of which you were a part of last summer. You spoke about some challenges that are causing major shifts within the fashion industry, like overconsumption, climate change, and just constantly being challenged to improve your omni-channel strategy due to the growth of e-commerce. Can you share anything with us that you have implemented to address some of those challenges?
Well, I think retail is changing. I think I touched on that, but you need to have a concept of, as traffic is coming down and the online business is gaining more importance, how do you actually look at retail? And certainly I still believe in retail, but what is retail today? How are you going to be driving traffic and not just sitting back and assuming traffic will come? And then once traffic does get there, what is the experience? Will you have personalization? Will you have different experiences, more tailored experiences? So those are a couple things that we're doing. Edited collections, certain collections that are only available in stores. And then also online, how do you make online and retail sing together and one experience? Because that's a challenge when you think about the environment of your stores and the environment of a site. It's very different, but how do you really create what people are calling omni-channel? There's all these overused sound bites, but there is meaning to them. So I would say retail, how we're looking at it is, we're not rolling out more and more stores. We're really looking at the stores we have and making sure that they're set up for the future and really investing in a digital way.
Thank you. Right here.
Hi, Tory.
Hi.
I want to thank you for manifesting your dreams into reality, because that gives us the courage to know that it is possible. And I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give young entrepreneurs such as myself that have a desire on the bottom to get to the top?
Well, I think you can't look at it like you're on the bottom getting to the top. I think you have to focus on your passion. And then once you find your passion, that's when it gets interesting, because I can tell you, I didn't know what my passion was until I really started to work on this company. And I had never designed before, I had never run a company before, but as it started to be clear that I was personally missing something, and it was a pretty simple idea. I think some of the simplest ideas have the most legs, but our company was, how do you design beautiful things, hard to find, that don't cost a fortune? And I didn't want to spend designer price points, so how do you challenge yourself? And I think if you start to see traction, and you're starting to feel that you're filling a need, chances are other people will feel the same way. And I think you have to be a good advocate for yourself, and don't underestimate social media, because we've never advertised as a brand. We didn't have the finances to do it early on, so we had to be incredibly scrappy. It's a different time now, and you have to use the resources. There's a lot of resources. It's getting more and more challenging as it gets more and more crowded, but that's where you have to really be an individual. So.
We have one more question, and it's over here.
Hi, Tory. I'm Marissa. It's great to be here to hear you speak about embracing ambition. I am working for a startup right now, and I'd love to hear what advice you have for really staying true to your vision from early days to expansion and growth. How do you stay so in touch with every piece of the business as things expand?
Good question.
Well, let's start by saying it's not easy, and it doesn't always happen. And you know, it's a constant balance of push and pull, and you know, I think it's so important to evolve, but also be true to who you are and not lose sight of your DNA. And I think once you create who you are, it's not, you know, when you look at some designers, and I talk a lot about it with some of my friends, because chances are you want to evolve and you want to try new things and you want to push your customer, but if you're changing who you are, you lose your customer. So it's really important to find the balance of that, is that evolution and taking it further, but also not losing sight of what you started and what was initially working. What is your startup?
It's called Showroom, and it does custom furniture for interior designers all through an app on your phone.
Okay.
That's great. Good luck.
I like that.
Can we talk about my skirt? Speaking of Tory Burch.
Perry
Spring,
needs
right?
some Lysol. No, it is. I have a bug. I love bugs.
You love bugs.
Yes.
Right, exactly. So I'm wearing the bugs today. Okay, so the question is, how can everybody here help spread the word of the campaign and embrace ambition?
Yeah, so you can go on our website, on either our home site, toryburch.com, or torybirchfoundation.org, and take the pledge. And you can, it's uploading a great picture of yourself and picking one of the words and posting it on Instagram, on all the other social channels. And I would also hope that you could get younger girls and boys as part of this conversation. I'm looking at some of the little girls and boys that are posting online saying boss, CEO, and to me it's like, it not only is it cute, but it's our future. And I think that if we can collectively really build that out, it would be wonderful. And continue this conversation. It's not just about today.
That's exactly right. And remember, everybody, the success of the campaign also really rests on everybody taking that digital pledge, spreading the word. So get out there.
Before
everybody.
I just want to say thank you to our foundation team, which is, and PR team, all in the back right there, because what they've done is pretty extraordinary. So thank you all. I would not be anywhere without my team, so thank you.
You have an extraordinary team. There's no question about it. You are extraordinary. Tory, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.